Brands are going to need to be comfortable doing things that maybe aren't directly measurable.
Performance metrics out.
And you're only going to get that through a human. Like,
the machines are too intelligent for that.
My prediction for 2026 is that brands are going to stop defining who they are and start letting consumers do that.
We're not going to take the word funnel into 2027. It'll officially die. We'll stop talking about it and we'll all move on.
The brands that win won't necessarily be the ones with the perfect websites, but they'll be the ones with the most credibility, the best reputation, and the most famous.
The fundamentals of marketing really aren't going to change in 2026.
Considering it was somebody's prediction in 2025 and didn't happen, I am going to be bold and say it is going to happen in 2026, which is we'll start seeing AI used for what it was actually meant for.
Human first marketing will really be the key to success in 2026.
In 2026, I think that authenticity wins.
YouTubers and streamers are going to take over the influencer space.
I've been saying this for a very, very long time. I think 2026 is going to be the time where influencer becomes very, very core and crucial as part of paid social, SEO, and PR, because it's going to continually feed how these other channels work. So people are going to start utilizing it much more seriously.
AI is looking for these really tight associations between what consumers are saying they need and what the brand means to them and what the brand is also saying about itself. And that's why social listening, looking at reviews, looking at what consumers are talking about brands on platforms like Reddit, and making sure that your brand language connects with that. In the AI's eyes, those really tight associations are the ones that are going to get more amplified. Saying less in more places is what successful brands are going to be doing in 2026.
We're no longer, audiences are no longer following the same journey. That's something that we've already been talking about a bit towards the end of 2025. But instead, we're sort of replaced with a bit of an always-on consideration where people are constantly looking to sort of consider brands, make purchases and things like that. And it can all happen in an instant, regardless of all that good funnel work that you did in the past.
TikTok and ChatGPT are increasingly enabling those direct transactions. So consumers are buying in platform. People are streaming, people are scrolling, people are buying, when they don't even have any intent to buy. They're shown an ad on Instagram and they're making snap decisions. So we have to adapt to fit in with, consumer behavior and how it's changed.
I think it's taking a look at who a celebrity is and using them as influencers, but not someone that you would a few years ago class as your traditional celebrity. Angry Ginge winning I'm a Celeb, getting the most votes in over 10 years. You wouldn't expect him to be classed as a celebrity, but I don't think people realise, and they probably underestimate, the following that people have on Twitch and when they're streaming and even YouTube. People are very loyal in that space. So I think that is just growing constantly, and I think that's what's going to make the shift in marketing, definitely.
The world of marketing is drastically changing. People are spending much more time on social media and building relationships with the content creators that they see. We're in the era of the creator economy, we're in the era of the creator entrepreneur. So naturally, there is growth of people wanting to become creators, and therefore brands are going to have to capitalize on that growth.
If you look at a lot of 2026 trend reports that are coming out at the moment, there was one from an unnamed market research firm, but I'm not going to call out, that said that 25% of people are currently using agentic AI shopping solutions. And I don't know a single person who's doing that. There are basic human psychological truths at the heart of the way that we consume media and the heart of the way that we interact with brands. And that's person to person, that's authenticity, that's trust, that's relevance. And AI will value those things, but ultimately it will still be the same sort of, I connect with a brand because they're relevant me, because I'm able to find them, I'm able to discover them in the platforms that I'm on. And brands that stick to that at the heart of things will be the ones that win.
What is happening is you're getting this deluge of inaccurate content. And then what's happening is the machine is reading it, eating that content and spitting out more content based on inaccurate information. And we've seen it. Google and other engines have caught up to that. and are going to put a stop to it. That is why it will happen this year and it didn't happen last year.
I think we're seeing digital fatigue, maybe even AI fatigue, if you can believe it. And so I think brands who actually have a genuine message from a human or for humans based off of lived experiences, that is really going to help brands stick out in 2026.
So I think the reason why this is happening is just due to the actual mass volume of news stories and press that we're seeing at the moment, just I guess in all verticals and all places in the media. The human voice can sometimes get filtered out when there's so much AI-driven content. I think authenticity and that level of communication that isn't AI-powered and isn't AI-generated is going to really cut through.
I think the impacts for marketers are just going to be having to think about how to stand out, because if everyone rushes to using influencers, think about using all the biggest content creators, they're not going to really stand out. So it's thinking about where do you play, where do you have the right to play, who is your actual audience, who do you resonate with, and finding the appropriate content creators to align your brand with.
I think it's going to really challenge marketers because we need to switch our way in thinking. You need to look at every platform different, and with the, influencers that you're going to use, every audience is different as well. Like someone that's on live stream is completely different to a 10-second clip that someone might watch on TikTok.
The biggest challenge will be the slowdown in velocity. You're going to have authoritative cited sources on pretty much everything you put out there. We've known that content needs to be a really fundamental part of pretty much any brand's marketing strategy. That is not going away. It's only going to accelerate the need for having content right throughout the customer journey. But you have to pay for it and you have to put the time in to make sure it's actually good content you are putting out there.
I think this is going to be really challenging because a lot of businesses and brands want to stay up to date in this AI race that we're in. The real skill is going to be finding a balance between how to leverage AI and also, when to focus on a human-centered message. I think brands that over-automate will really be called out in 2026. I think we're already starting to see that.
I think it will challenge a lot of brands who don't have this expertise set up already. The thing that I think is going to be exciting is that building of community. I think people are really missing out on that, especially from the brands who haven't used this or are less lenient to want to do this.
I think marketers moving into next year will still have to double down on that area of the 80%, right? We know this works. How can we make it work harder? How can we make it work better? But within that other 20%, how can we prioritize the areas that we could be looking into that are new, that are shiny, that are interesting? We might not know that they work, but it's worth testing because that's how you're going to find the cutting edge against other brands that you're competing against.
I think brand and performance will merge entirely. We'll no longer be talking about them in separate sort of buckets anymore, and instead performance is now built on thousands and thousands of short-term moments with brands and no longer big sweeping campaigns. It's all about how you show up in all of the little bits that can massively drive sales and massively drive how your brand is thought of by audiences.
Marketers have to challenge themselves to have a bit of a mindset shift. We talk a lot about discoverability, about appearing in LLMs and search, but you need to build a brand that's worth finding.
Forget about how much breadth you can achieve in a strategy, in an activation, and forget about how much you can say around your whole product inventory. You want to think about who actually, when it comes down to it, is your core audience and how can you speak to them? What's the key problem that you're solving? And it might just be a handful of things that ladder up to USP.
I think the brands that get ahead are really going to pull away from the pack. I think they're going to build super quick followings. They're going to be the people who journalists come to us directly asking for content from them. The brands that are doing this already are getting this, which is really exciting.
We'll see the gap between the brands doing it well and doing it poorly will just intensify, and I think you'll see a few brands really start to pull away.
I think they'll build bigger trust, higher engagement or more memorable experiences in this landscape that we're seeing.
Going after content creators who have got a loyal following, who will trust what they say. And I think that will be the main difference, because people aren't going to be questioning, well, are they just using it because they've been paid to? It's actually they're going to trust this user because they're promoting it and talking about it because they want to.
I think it's actually getting creators on early into the process of defining your marketing strategy. You got 100 grand to spend, let's get some influencers to promote this narrative. But getting influencers into the process of building the product, building the brand, building the strategy, and having them at the center and the heart of it is going to be very, very powerful. I mean, even some of the stuff we're going to be doing next year with clients is getting influencers to give feedback on the games that we are promoting before the game is built and before the campaign is live, so that they're the heart of things. So when they go to promote it, it's so much more authentic.
Specializing and getting that distinction with your brand messaging through into your creative is ultimately going to carve out your niche and going to achieve that kind of cut through that brands are going to want. Mining reviews, mining Reddit threads, mining how audiences talk about your brand is going to be key to achieving that distinction and that cut through.
The CPV, CPAs of old are still going to be there, but it's time that we start measuring differently and measuring on different stuff as well. So performance metrics out, and stuff like distinctiveness and memorability and all of the good sort of recall stuff comes in as we think about them in a broader picture altogether and not just in separate lanes.
The opportunity for marketers is building a brand that's actually worth finding, both by the humans and also the machines. And I think it is going to be a bit of a balancing act. You know, no longer is it about manipulating Google, keyword stuffing, buying as many links as you can, you know, all those manipulative tactics are not going to work in this new era. Like, the machines are too intelligent for that.